More details are emerging about the failed assassination attempt on US President Donald Trump. In particular, American media are publishing the manifesto of the shooter, Cole Allen, who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. And contrary to earlier reports, including those from Donald Trump himself, the manifesto contains almost no political agenda. It is mostly devoted to the shooter's reflections on attack tactics and personal messages to both acquaintances and strangers. And let me remind you that he was a teacher. He also addresses his students in this manifesto. But what's interesting is this. Cole Allen still criticizes the Donald Trump administration and states that he, as a citizen of the United States of America, But still, he feels all the effects of the actions of the Donald Trump administration which are unfolding. It's already been a year and a half of Trump's presidency, so let's read this manifesto together now. I'll say this. I'll be reading it for the first time together with you now, so subscribe to the channel, like this episode, and leave your comment under this video in advance so that as many viewers as possible can see this episode. I will quote this manifesto in full, exactly as it is published today by the New York Post. By the way, the New York Post is Donald Trump's favorite newspaper. He once even said that he actually reads it every day. And they were actually the first ones to receive the manifesto of that very shooter. And according to sources, the person accused of organizing the attack on the White House Correspondents' Dinner, Cole Allen, sent his family members a detailed, insane manifesto 10 minutes before the Saturday attack. In a 1,052-word letter, he laid out his rules of engagement during the shooting and stated that he considered it his righteous duty to attack officials of Donald Trump's administration. Next, I will be quoting Cole Allen's manifesto, so you should understand that everything that follows will be this shooter's own words with some of my own occasional comments. Today, I may have surprised many people. Allow me to start by apologizing to everyone whose trust I have betrayed. I apologize to my parents for saying that I had an interview without specifying that it was for the Most Wanted program. I apologize to my colleagues and students for what I said about a personal emergency. By the time anyone reads this, I'll probably really need to go to the emergency room, but it's hardly something I brought upon myself. I apologize to all the passengers I traveled with, the staff who handled my luggage, everyone else at the hotel who wasn't targeted but whom I put at risk just by being near them. I apologize to everyone who was subjected to violence and or killed before this, to all those who suffered before this, how I was able to do this, and to all those who may continue to suffer afterward, regardless of my success or failure, writes Allen. I do not expect forgiveness, but if I saw any other way to get this close to the goal, I would have taken it. Once again, I sincerely apologize. Now, about why I did all this. This is where it gets most interesting, the part that personally affected me the most. And please forgive me, this will be a rather harsh, quite harsh quote from Cole Allen, but directed at Donald Trump. Quote, "Now, about why I did all this. I am a citizen of the United States of America. The actions of my government representatives reflect on me. I no longer intend to let a pedophile, a rapist, and a traitor dirty my hands with his crimes. Honestly, I haven't wanted to do this for a long time, but this is the first real opportunity to do something about it. Since I brought this up, I'll also talk about my expected rules of engagement, probably in a terrible format, but I'm not a soldier, so it's no big deal. Administration officials, except for Mr. Patel, are targets, with priority from the highest level to the lowest." Here he clearly states whom he wanted to eliminate. Quote continues, "The Secret Service. They are targets only if necessary and should be neutralized in a non-lethal way if possible. That is, I hope they're wearing bulletproof vests because a shotgun hit to the center causes damage to those who aren't wearing vests. Hotel security. If possible, avoid becoming a target. That is, unless they start shooting at me. Capitol Police, same as hotel security. That is, he wasn't planning to shoot at them. National Guard, same as hotel security. Hotel staff are not targets at all. Guests are not targets at all. To minimize casualties, I will also use buckshot instead of bullets. It penetrates walls less effectively. I would still go through most of the people here to get to the target if it was absolutely necessary. Given that most people came to the event of their own free will, again, I'm just quoting here, of a pedophile, a rapist, and a traitor, and thus became accomplices. But I really hope it won't come to that. He goes on to write, Refuting Objections. Objection 1. As a Christian, I should turn the other cheek. Refutation. Turning the other cheek. Next. You should do this when you yourself are being oppressed. I am not the person who was raped in the internment camp. I am not the fisherman who was executed without trial. I am not the schoolboy who was blown up. I am not the child who was starved. And I am not the teenage girl who was abused by numerous criminals in this presidential administration. I imagine turning the other cheek when someone, quote-unquote, someone is being oppressed. That's not it. That's not Christian. That's complicity in the oppressor's crimes, Allen writes. Objection 2. He's writing now. This is inconvenient for you. Refutation. I need the person who thinks that way to take a couple of minutes and realize that the world doesn't revolve around them. Do you think that when I see someone being raped, killed, or subjected to violence, I should just walk by? Because it would be uncomfortable for people who aren't victims? That was the most appropriate moment and the best chance for success that I could think of. Objection 3. You didn't consider all of them. Rebuttal. You have to start somewhere. Objection 4. Being half black, half white, you shouldn't be doing this. Rebuttal. I don't see anyone else who could take on this work. Objection 5. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Rebuttal. The United States of America is governed by law, not by any one person or a few people. At the time when any government official or judge does not follow the law, no one is obligated to yield to them anything that has been prescribed in such an unlawful manner. I would also like to express my gratitude to a great many people, since I am unlikely to have the chance to speak with them again, unless the Secret Service turns out to be remarkably incompetent. By the way, he survived. He's under arrest, but he survived. He goes on to say, I thank my family, both my personal and church family, for your love throughout these 31 years. Thank you to my friends for your support over the years. I express my gratitude to my colleagues with whom I have worked. Again, thanks to my students, I thank acquaintances and blah blah blah. So there are a lot of thank yous here. And at the end he writes, Cole, in quotes, Cold Power, Friendly Federal Killer Allen. That's the nickname he came up with for himself. And then, further in his manifesto, there's a postscript that's quite interesting. And he writes the following, again, a quote. Alright, now that all this sentimentality is behind us, what the hell is the Secret Service doing? Sorry, I'm going to rant a bit and drop the formal tone. I expected to see surveillance cameras at every turn, bugged hotel rooms, armed agents every 3 meters, and countless metal detectors. In the end, I didn't see any of that. Who knows, maybe they're playing a trick on me. So, no damn security at all. Not on the way, not at the hotel, nowhere really. The first thing I noticed right away when I entered the hotel was a sense of arrogance. Imagine, I come in with several types of weapons, and he, let me remind you, had a shotgun, a pistol, and knives. And to quote further, none of those present even consider that I might pose a threat. The security at the event is focused outside, watching the protesters, the demonstrators, and those arriving. Because, apparently, no one thought about what would happen if someone registered the day before. Regarding the protesters, he's talking about the fact that there really was a protest in front of the Washington Hilton Hotel, held by those who are against the war in Iran. I continue the quote. Such a level of incompetence is simply off the charts, and I sincerely hope that by the time truly competent leadership appears in the country again, the situation will improve. If I were an Iranian agent and not a US citizen, I could have brought in some mom here and no one would have noticed anything. Well, mom, of course, is in quotes. I could have arranged whatever I wanted. Then he says, this is just insane. And if anyone's interested in what it's like to do something like this, it's awful. I feel sick. I feel like crying because of everything I wanted to do, but never will. Because of all the people whose trust this betrays, I feel rage. Thinking about everything this administration has done, I don't recommend this to anyone. Kids, stay in school. Well, that's the kind of manifesto this shooter had who, let me remind you, opened fire at the Hilton Hotel in Washington, where such a ceremonial meeting was taking place. It was a gathering of the presidential press pool, White House correspondents from all kinds of outlets with top US officials. And Trump was also present there. He attended that dinner. It was a formal dinner. This is actually a traditional gathering when the president and the entire top leadership of the country come together with journalists. And it was expected that comedians would perform there, but all of this was overshadowed at the very beginning by that shooter. And Donald Trump is already saying that it's urgent to build a ballroom in the White House with an underground bunker for the president, by the way, so that such events can be held there, so there won't be shooters who disrupt these events. That's the situation. By the way, you can see all the details and all the controversial aspects of the US president's evacuation in my previous episodes on this YouTube channel. It's very important to subscribe to the channel, like the episode, and click the bell so you get notifications about new episodes. Friends, that was the manifesto. I quoted it as it is. As they say, I'm just passing it along as I got it. So, if you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so with any donation using the links and details in the description of this video or by using the QR code on your screens. I will be grateful for any support from you. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everyone.